My name is Paul Porter. I actually manage our pre-sales organization here at xMatters. And joining me today is Brandon Bailey, who's going to be providing the demonstration. Brandon's actually been with us a number of years, as you can see, and works with our North American customers to help them automate their incident management processes. He's had some previous experience as well, working at a startup company, and also as a teacher, which I think is part of what makes him such a terrific solutions architect for us and for our customers, of course. As you can see, he enjoys coaching, and his family has recently welcomed a new Beagle puppy to their home. And I saw a video of the puppy. It's as cute as you can imagine. So we won't be showing the video, but you can take my word for it. So, all right. Well, our focus today is around challenges, and specifically, we're going to show you how our Flow Designer solution helps solve some of those challenges. And really, we're going to witness something that we call codeless automation. And the xMatters Flow Designer allows you to take advantage of this and actually build workflows, tool chains, and an incident resolution process without writing any code. And that's the greatness of it, I think, is that oftentimes we're challenged. We can't get to those well-integrated systems because we have, significant developer time that we have to go try and find, or we don't have the right resources to create customized scripts or build these API integrations between different solutions. And so this leads to, siloed knowledge if we can't integrate, resource bottlenecks because we can't get the right people in the right place at the same time, or our processes are just unreliable. But with Flow Designer, we're able to simply use a drag and drop interface that allows us to virtually create any workflow that we want, connecting xMatters with the systems that you already are using and leveraging. So in a nutshell, really what you're going to be able to see is the ability to integrate and orchestrate and then even adapt your incident process, both initially, but down the road as well. And this is, really what the demonstration is going to focus on and give you some concrete examples of how to go about that. Of course, it won't be the only things that you can do, but I think it'll be a good step forward. So I'm going to hand it off to Brandon at this time.
Thanks, Paul. I'm sure you can hear me okay, right?
I hear you. I'm going to stop sharing and hand
Wonderful.
it over to you.
Okay, so Paul set us up very well. So again, xMatters, there's multiple things we're used for, but the one we'll focus on today, the part we'll focus on today is called Flow Designer. Now, Flow Designer, again, is going to help us integrate, orchestrate, and adapt. And I'll add another comment to that, adapt and improve our processes over time. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. And as Paul said, if there's questions, you can throw them in the chat. There's also a Q&A section there as well. So the first part of what we're going to talk about, integrate, orchestrate, adapt, and improve, is the integration part. This is xMatters. This is our just landing page dashboard. There's a nice couple of key metrics here. We can see what's coming into our environment. And again, but the first step to this process is to build an integration. So let's take a look at how simple that is to do. I'm going to jump into a section called workflows. Then I'll go into the templates. And we'll talk about this for just a minute, and then we'll get into the actual part called Flow Designer. So templates, any organization that I get an opportunity to talk to, whether they're at the team level or department level or the organization level, they all have similar pains and problems and challenges that they're trying to overcome. Think about all the systems that a team has that they rely on to do their job well, to support the business. Think about growing that out to the department level. Now you're adding more people, more systems. And then you think about the whole organization, it just compounds even more. So that's the challenge that everyone I talk to is facing. How do they make a workflow that has automated pieces in place so that people can focus on what they really need to do, the more valuable tasks at hand? So in templates, there's a lot of nice logos, right? Lots of systems that we can integrate into, whether it be development, deployment, monitoring, so you can observe all those services that you're responsible for, and then on into service management and even chat ops. For today, I'm going to focus in on Datadog, and I'll just be here for a minute, and then we'll move into Flow Designer. Datadog's a great system. I often see it with all of our organizations. So just clicking into Datadog, it just gives me a high level, what is this for? And then we can explore the integration. I'm going to click into next, and here is the configuration page. This is really all you need to get Datadog integrated into xMatters. You just name the configuration, you pass a couple API keys, you tell us who is a typical group that needs to respond to these Datadog alarms. Now, again, we're notifying these teams whenever there's a problem specifically to Datadog, but that can be all the systems in your tool stack. And then you hit next and you're integrated. That's pretty much it. So let me fast forward into the other area, the primary focus for today's demo, which is Flow Designer. Here I am. So there's two main parts to this inside of xMatters. There is the canvas, the gray area on my left. This is where you have the opportunity to build your process. And it can be as simple as what I have in front of me. And I'll get to explaining what this is. On the right-hand side, we call this the palette. The palette is where all your triggers, we'll talk about triggers in a minute, all the triggers, all the what we call steps, where they're all available and where I can bring them in. So think of it like a toolbox where I can bring them in and utilize some of these steps to build an automated workflow or process. So what I have here is a trigger from Datadog. When Datadog has an alarm and it's already integrated into xMatters, it will land here. It'll land here, and I've already got it connected to a step called create event in xMatters. This will simply notify my group. Oh, and by the way, for the demo, I will be kind of telling a story to wrap around the demo so it's easier to understand. Essentially, my team and I, we use Datadog, and whenever there's an alarm, we want to get notified. That's pretty much it. Now, what does that notification look like? I've actually got my phone here on the right-hand side. I'll bring that into the demo. It'll be here for a little bit. Let me move around this a little bit. I'm going to click into the xMatters mobile app. That's where I am already. You can see that it's here. I'll click into that alarm that I got, and I'll look at it. It's pretty simple. It looks like our API gateway is having an issue. I'll look at the body of the message. CPU usage is beyond the expected parameters, not good. I could click into Datadog if I want. It's linked in here. And also the nice thing about Datadog is it has these tags to indicate what services may be impacted that I'm responsible for. The reason I'm showing you this is because I want to look at response options. It'll build upon our story. I can, my team and I, we have the ability to claim this alarm or event. I can mute it for a while, comment, or escalate. Perhaps I'm not available and I need to escalate it to someone else in my group. And that's it. So there's 4 response options, and they're still very valuable. But let's talk about our story. My team and I, we have this integration built. We're getting notifications as we expect. It's working just fine. But how do we improve this process? How do we maybe add some more automation in place? And sometimes the need to automate comes from a business requirement. And in our case, in my story, I've got a business requirement from on high, right? My manager's manager or someone says we need to be more aligned with service management in this case. So our friends in service management, they happen to use ServiceNow in my story here. And I need to, when we find a critical alarm, I need to have it documented in a record or incident inside of ServiceNow. So as Paul said earlier, sometimes those integrations can be troublesome. Sometimes there's just not enough resources to do an integration for us. Perhaps my team and I aren't familiar with some of those other systems that we're being asked to do. So how do we improve it? So I'm going to go back into triggers, and here's where we'll explain a little bit more on what we have on the right-hand side, again, called the palette. I've got triggers for lots of different things, but the one I'll focus in on here is the responses. I'm actually going to bring this into the canvas. It's going to populate for me. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can use more real estate. You'll notice that these response options are what we have on my notification: claim, comment, escalate, etc. Now back to that business requirement. My company or my organization wants me to document some of these critical alarms into ServiceNow. So let's do it as simple as possible. And you've got a little hint here, spoiler alert. I'm going to click into add response. Of course, it wants me to save before I make a drastic change like that. And I've got my responses here. Now it looks a little bit busy here. Don't worry about that. That just gives me the chance to maybe add a description to some of these response options. The key column is this side. So let's focus in on there. I'm going to add a response option. I'm actually going to just hit create incident. You can name it whatever you want, which is also pretty valuable. And here it is. It is now populated. So as soon as I get another Datadog alarm through xMatters, I will have a 5th response option here on the notification. I'll go ahead and show you the next section in our demo, which is apps. You'll see some familiar company names and logos here. I'm going to focus in on the ServiceNow part, but all these can be expanded. All of them contain a few steps to affect those platforms. In our case, we're going to focus on a ServiceNow. I'm going to create an incident. Again, that was the business requirement that I was told to do. Let's go ahead and click it in and drag it into the spot. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is you see these dots? Every time you see a dot, that is opportunity. Think about possibilities. What do you want to do with this trigger, with this action, with this step? Now, I've already, to save us some time, I've already brought this step into the canvas and I've already configured it, but I will show you how easy it is to do that. I'm going to double click into this step and it brings up this dialog. Extremely simple. If you've ever used a service management tool, BMC, ServiceNow, Freshservice, Jira, Service Desk, etc., if you've ever used any of them, there's some typical fields that need to be used when you create a new incident. In our case, ServiceNow has short description, among others. We'll focus in on here just a few, just to save us some time. Short description. Okay, what do we want to pass through? Now we're connecting data from one system through xMatters into another system called ServiceNow to meet a business requirement. But you don't need to have any programming or coding knowledge to do it. I'm going to click in here on the event properties. All of these properties are available as data. So in our case, I've already done it, but I'll show you it again. Event properties, event message. So the message that came from Datadog, this right here, is contained inside of event message. And I just have to find it in my list. Again, another drag and drop feature. I just drag it into the input field for short description, and I'm done. I've already done it. I'll go ahead and delete that duplicate one. And then description. Perhaps I want to give my my friends at Service Management, perhaps I want to give them a little more information. So the tags are really valuable in Datadog. It kind of indicates what services may be impacted. So API, ETF, Argyle nodes, etc. So I've got tags, and then I've already dragged tags into our input field. Same with Datadog ID. If they need to go back and look at Datadog again, that's as simple as it is. Again, the value here, time to integrate, time to build process is very short, very, very quick. It's as simple as drag and drop. Now, what does that do? It helps me meet my business requirement that my team and I are mandated to do. We do it quickly, and we're back on our priority tasks at hand, the normal things that we need to do. So I'm going to get it done, and we're done, right? So in a matter of minutes, I've already met that business requirement. So let's fast forward a few weeks in my story. My team and I have good experience so far in this, but we want to maybe do something different. Perhaps we only want to notify our team. Like right now, we're notifying on everything, right? Perhaps we only want to notify if it's considered a critical alarm. The low, medium alarms, maybe we don't need to notify on those. So how can we do that inside of xMatters? That brings me to the next section in the palette, which is called tools. Tools opens up a lot of really interesting functionality. The first part is utilities. How do we merge data? Maybe there's multiple streams or multiple paths within Flow Designer. Maybe we want to merge those together into a singular process. The one I will talk about here, though, is switch. So this is what I get most excited about. Depending on some property data that comes in, maybe we want to take a different course of action. So the first one I do, and again, I've already built this just to save us some time, but here's what the switch looks like. In fact, I'll just bring in a new one just to show you. There it is. This is a brand new one. I don't need that. I'll just go ahead and eliminate that, move it over. So let's talk about, in fact, I can increase my real estate here. Let's do that. Okay, here we go. So again, our phase one, notify the team. Phase two, add a response option to meet that business requirement to create an incident for service management. I could do the same for development as well. If I wanted to, I could jump into Jira and add an issue or create an issue there. But back to utilities and tools, I'm going to change our process. In fact, I'm going to just go ahead and remove this connector for now. And again, I said, my team and I only want to alarm us or notify us if it's a critical alarm. So you just have to come in here and select what property determines what we're going to switch on. And in our case, it's Datadog Sev, or severity in our case. So I've even labeled it that, switch on Sev, and I've got one called critical. That's what it looks like when it comes through. And I'll connect the dots. It's the same notification process, or I should say notification to my team and I, but we're only going to do it if it's critical. But however, my team also needs to know if it's medium, if it's low. They want to know kind of what's going on. So maybe they want to know if it's medium or low. We're going to leave it as default path. So if an alarm comes through and it's anything other than critical, let's maybe do something else. Now, again, my team and I, we like to use MS Teams or Microsoft Teams. We use that to collaborate. We use it also for information. So in our case, I don't want to create a channel. I just want to post a message to an existing channel. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that into our process. Now, again, I've already got this built to save us a little bit of time. I will show you what I've done. I'm going to connect the dots. So again, alarm comes in. If it's anything other than critical, it's going to post that information to my channel. My team, we use a team name called technology, right? We have a channel called monitoring event feed. And anytime, again, it's below critical, it's going to post a message, Datadog event. Now it's throwing me an alarm, and I know why. Let's go ahead and grab the new updated data. So here's the data that came from Datadog. It's a Datadog event. I'm just going to throw in the summary. Tags, my team wants to know what services are impacted. There's the tags, and I'm done. The part that I haven't shown you is you do have to configure the endpoint. It's as simple as authenticating into the environment. Incredibly easy, just a few minutes to do, and then you're done. So my team has gone from a simple process to meeting a business requirement, and now adjusting or adapting or evolving that process to give us more time back to do our other critical tasks. So that's part of the tools and utilities. Another section here is xMatters. We have a really great, robust API, lots of functions available. So they're all here. We packaged them into steps, which leads me to my last point before we ask for some questions. Flow Designer was built so that it makes automation more approachable. The cost of entry to do this is very low. We built it so almost anyone can come in here and orchestrate some sort of an automated flow. It allows them to build and improve it over time, essentially making you look like a hero to the organization when organizations are so dynamic, tools coming in, tools coming out, the teams that need those tools, et cetera. That being said, if you have programming experience, if you want to push the limits of Flow Designer, we do have a section called custom. I'm not going to show you everything here, but essentially my team and I have been very busy building out all kinds of custom steps to do functions in other systems. Perhaps you have homegrown systems that we don't have a published section for, right? We can't build steps for every system out there. But we do give you the ability to create your own custom steps to meet those business requirements, again, in other tools we don't have integrations for yet, or homegrown systems. With that being said, I think we'll pause real quick and see if there's any questions. And Paul, anything come in through yet?
Yeah, just a couple questions out here at the moment. One is, what if I have a tool that isn't listed on the website or the integrations list? Just what you were pointing out there, I think.
I'll add another comment to that. So we have the custom section, right? One thing I forgot to mention is when you build these, think of it as a modular function, a piece that can be shared not only with this one workflow, but other workflows within your environment. Now, again, this is just for Datadog, but you might have other processes, lots of other systems in place. And so these custom steps can be shared amongst the environment, amongst other teams. The other part too is if we want to create a custom trigger, we also give you that ability too. Like here's some other new ones that we have built custom. So that's a great question. Thank you, Paul, for bringing that raising that up for me. Perhaps another question we typically get is, what if we have requirements that we need to keep another audience informed? For instance, we have internal customers, right? People who rely on our services to do their jobs. Like, what if email goes down and you can't email the company that email is down, right? So what can you do? That's where another apps step could come in. Post a message to perhaps the general channel, the all hands channel. If you have people who use Slack and Teams, no big deal. And then the third one I'll bring up is status page or any other public facing website. So status page is a common website for people to notify their external customers, people outside of the organization, of what's going on. And so we can impact that use case or that business requirement as well. And it doesn't have to be status page. Again, you can create a custom step to maybe even a homegrown public facing page where we can impact that page and let people know what's going on. And with our drag and drop capabilities, you can curate the content specific to that audience. They don't need to know that it's coming from Datadog. They just want to know, why can't I log into my mobile app? Why can't I log into your service? They don't, again, need to know about the nodes or tags or anything else. You can curate the content for the specific audience, whether that's developers, service management, internal customers, or even external customers. So that's another typical question we get. So I think I'm at time. Can you check on that for me, Paul? I think we're...
Yeah, this is a good time to transition.
Okay. Great. Again, thank you guys for attending my part of this webinar. Again, we still have a few more minutes. I'll go ahead and hand it back over to Paul.
All right, terrific. So thanks, Brandon. Actually, that was great to show us really quickly how you're able to build, workflow and tool chain multiple products together to drive that incident resolution process without any coding. Like, that was definitely the key point. And in minutes here, we've definitely accomplished that. And you all can probably see that this really saves, that developer time or other resources that you might normally have to try to pull in to accomplish delivering a workflow or the interaction between multiple systems. Like, Teams and ServiceNow are just integrated with those drag and drop items that Brandon put together for us. And at the same time, you're really also documenting, in a visual way, the process that you're driving. So the knowledge is shared, as well as resources can work in collaboration, because if Brandon wanted to, he could have other people contribute to the workflow. But the process now becomes reliable and trusted, but also easy to modify should the solutions or the tools that you work with change down the road. And Flow Designer gives you that drag and drop environment where it is all visual and it's fast and, of course, easy to use. The benefits of this, of course, are really the important aspect of it. It's like, we're able to accomplish it quick, but why would we do this? And really, that key goal is that you really want to reduce the complexity of your environment, because that also gives you the speed to solution. But at the same time, you're also going to reduce the mean time to resolution of every process that you run through. Every event that you run through, every incident that comes up is going to benefit from that. So by being able to fully orchestrate your tool change, of course, with no code, you're also aligning your resources so that it's proactive, consistent, and adaptive for all the incident management that you need to accomplish. And these are the things that we've seen xMatters be able to provide to thousands of teams, where they're able to gain the efficiencies across development and infrastructure departments around the world. Like, it doesn't really matter kind of where you are, because you've got quick access to all this great information. And it's reducing that wasted time, from any sort of unplanned outages that might impact you, giving you important time back so that you can spend more time innovating. And in particular, we actually have a quick case study to walk through here, which many of you have probably heard of Kellogg's before. They're actually a Fortune 500 company, and they are the world's leading provider of cereal and related products. So, like, I don't know that I would always just automatically put them at the top of the list, but that's where they are. So an impressive organization, but also means they've got, challenges. And Their perspective on xMatters is not just that they, use us for notifications. They actually think of it as a foundation for their IT needs. And then they also look at the way they use xMatters is not just within IT, but it's also leveraged for business processes. In reality, they're a manufacturing company. And so they have many locations and lots of sites and lots of inputs and outputs, to the manufacturing environment itself. And one of the important technological advances that they took advantage of was xMatters' ability to quickly integrate with cloud systems and other infrastructure that may not be cloud-based. So being able to bridge those gaps was important for them. Their alerting efficiency or accuracy exceeds 99.99%. That becomes really important to make sure that you're not notifying the wrong people. It's like an important aspect of this is that you just notify the real people that you need and kind of leave everyone else alone so they can continue doing their work. I think the most impressive, measure that they shared with us is, being able to reduce that mean time to resolution from, 12 hours or more down to just an hour or two from start to close. And they continue to improve on that further as they automate more and more aspects of it. But faster resolution ultimately means more profitable operations, which was a key driver for them. But also you get the benefit of happier employees and customers, because you have fewer problems or fewer impactful problems at the same time. So let me look and see if we got any additional questions, which actually we do have a couple more that popped up here and we're almost out of time, but let me pose these to you, Brandon. So someone asked, is xMatters able to perform multiple tasks based on the situation? For example, when we have a critical incident, we always notify the supporting team, we start a separate chat for the incident, and we launch a conference bridge, and also update an internal status board.
That's a great question. So essentially, thinking back to my demo, if you saw those steps, there's a dot on either side, right? It's just one piece of a process that can be pretty lengthy, including if it's critical, create a dedicated channel in your chat ops system, load all the information there, invite the teams there, create a system, an incident in your system of choice, ServiceNow, whatever it may be, and then inform the external customers. All those things can be built and automated inside of Flow Designer.
Terrific. Awesome. There's more information that's available. We'd be glad to talk to you further individually. You can also sign up for an xMatters free environment. We have a terrific blog that's on our website that's available as well. There's also some more upcoming webinars, one on event flood control, as well as a Dynatrace specific one, and then followed by incident management that I think would be potentially beneficial if you've got time to join us for those. And of course, xMatters sign up, it's out there. You can actually use the free version of our product as well. But thanks again to Brandon for the terrific demonstration and providing us the view of Flow Designer and what we can accomplish. And that concludes our presentation of Demo Dayz today. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you all.